My name is Pamela Chappell. I'm the Director of Nursing, Therapies and Governance for Suffolk Community Services. I'm actually employed by West Suffolk Foundation Trust. West Suffolk is the lead contractor for a joint venture to deliver the Suffolk Community Services. It's a joint venture with Ipswich Hospital and Norfolk Community Healthcare and Trust. The Suffolk Community contract covers all community services across Suffolk excluding Waveney, and the community services I'm referring to are district nursing, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, podiatry, community hospitals.
Hello, my name is Jaya Hopkins. I'm one of the heads of nursing for Hertfordshire Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust. It's a mental health and specialist learning disability trust, and we cover services across 4 counties. Our main services are in Hertfordshire. We cover services in Norfolk, North Essex and Bucks.
The workforce challenges that the Suffolk Community Services faces at the moment affects both nursing and therapy. We're a community service that borders on Cambridge and Essex, and at times we can find that our pipeline of potential candidates really ventures over the border into Cambridge and Essex. We have seen a notable decrease in terms of our ability to recruit therapists into the community services. But one of the other areas that we have found is that we have been a community organisation that has changed providers every 2 to 3 years over the past 10 years. This hasn't really enabled us to develop a very firm workforce plan and allow career progression within the organisation, which we do believe has had an impact upon our ability to recruit.
For us nationally, there is a shortage of nurses. We've had difficulty recruiting registered nurses in both our learning disability and mental health services. And the other challenge we had is the majority of people, student nurses for us, is in Hertfordshire, and we want to recruit all those students at the end of their training, and we've had some challenges recruiting all of them.
In respect of recruiting nurses into community services, we have noted 2 potential problems really. First of all is recruiting newly qualified nurses into community services. I think it's always been thought that actually newly qualified staff should be recruited first into the acute hospital. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think if you have the appropriate support mechanisms within community organisations, you can actually support newly qualified practitioners. In terms of recruiting non-newly qualified nurses, we have identified a number of problems, particularly on where we border with the borders with the acute hospitals. That's very difficult for us. Suffolk covers 3 or 4 border areas, and that has proved difficult. And we've noted a particular problem in some of our more coastal regions within Suffolk as well.
For me, the Good Practice Guide is a really good piece of work for organisations nationally. We're all facing the same challenges with recruitment of registered nursing. Their Good Practice Guide has some tried and tested solutions that organisations can adopt.
It lets you view what other organisations are doing. I do find sometimes that we become quite insular in terms of our own organisations. We don't actually venture out and review what other organisations are able to do, and some of the areas in the Good Practice Guide that I've noted are things that we could actually be doing within our own organisation. It gives you the contact numbers and names. You could actually have some informal conversations with people and understand how they've come about in terms of the initiatives that they've put into place.
I must say the success we've had with it, since we've introduced it, everybody who's applied for a post with us, we have successfully given them a post with us at the end of the training.
Luckily, we actually have 2 examples within the Good Practice Guide where we have focused on recruitment, maintaining our employment of staff within the organisation. The first guide, the first initiative, is the Band 5 development programme. And what we were finding with staff coming out of the district nursing qualification, they actually weren't ready to go straight into practice. And what we noted is that whilst they were clinically sound, we were having some difficulties and challenges with the leadership around that role. Most recently, when we were employed by Serco, we found that we were able to be slightly more flexible in terms of how we were able to approach this. And we put into place a Band 5 development programme in connection with the University of Suffolk. It's a year-long programme. It features or focuses both on theory and practice, but there's quite a lot of concentration on portfolio development and developing that individual themselves. We have linked it very much to NHS values and behaviours, and so we concentrate on areas such as dignity and respect, communication, leadership. And what we have identified is that we will not only work with the nurses within practice, and they are identified a mentor, but we also have 6 2-hourly formal sessions that focus on those values, and then we also work with the university around an induction day to the programme and a final evaluation day. And one of the things that I particularly like about it is that the nurses are asked to present their portfolios at the end. It really gives them a chance to shine. It gives us a chance to really understand what they have gone through, what they have learnt, and how actually we can then put that forward into practice across the community.
As I've mentioned, we've had difficulty recruiting registered nurses. The majority of our students are at University of Hertfordshire. We have got the practice education team that meet with the students throughout the 3 years of the training while they are in placement with us. But we want to go a bit further so that the students feel part of the HBFT family. So the executive nurse, the deputy director of nursing, as well as the heads of nursing, meets with the students regularly throughout that 3 years of training. And what we want the students to know, the senior nurses in the organisation, for them to feel part of HBFT at a very early stage. But also then we can have a conversation with them about their career pathway, their preferences of work, and then we can map that to vacancies within the organisation at the end of their training. We have developed an information pack for students and return to practice nurses. The information pack contains staff benefits and benefits working for the trust, as well as how to apply for jobs with us. For those student nurses finishing the training, we tend to meet with them about 6 months before the end of that training to find out their preferences, and then we map their preferences with the existing vacancies within the organisation. They don't have to apply for a post. If they are signed off by us at the end of for their last placement, and they're eligible for a post with us, so all we ask them to do is to complete an online form so that we get the information about them and the contact details. And we'll meet with them. Once we get their form, their completed forms, we then match them with existing vacancies. And sometimes there are occasions where we haven't got a vacancy to match them to for their preferences. So the heads of nursing will meet with the students to discuss other options so that we can give them a post within HBFT.
So the building resilience in team leader and teams was something I was really quite passionate about. It came forward from the Director of Nursing workforce group across Norfolk and Suffolk, and I really wanted to lead that. Primarily wanted to lead it because of the amount of change that community services has undergone in the last 10 years. And actually, I felt that it's really important that to see through that change, you need to be a resilient leader. And it's something that perhaps touched my heart and was very personal. I think if you have resilient team leaders and teams in place, you can actually address change in a very proactive and positive way. So that's why that came about. We worked with a number of organisations within Norfolk and Suffolk, a number of providers, as well as with University of Suffolk as well. And I think what the benefit of the programme is that it's not only focusing on the team leader, but there's a real, we wanted to involve and engage the team as well, because often teams see their team leader go off, they're developed, but actually what is in it for them, what comes back. And so we wanted to do something actively with the teams, and so one of the aspects of the programme is that we go to where teams are working. We don't pull the teams out to come and sit in a classroom, but we actually go and do some active work with them in their workplace.
Once they qualify, there is the preceptorship programme that covers a range of subjects for the newly qualified nurses, and there are monthly sessions that they have to attend, so there's a bit of clinical support in there for them as a group, but also we deliver some training programs for them. Some of those training programs are dictated by the students around things they're picking up on the unit that they want to develop themselves. A recent example around leadership, where there has been some newly qualified nurses struggling to manage unqualified nurses, and as a group they've discussed it, and we've been looking at how we can develop some of that skills for them. One of the things students have told us is that they feel part of the trust right from the beginning, not only because they've met with us, but they've also done the trust induction. We have been able to recruit, since we put in place this project, we have been able to recruit all the people who've applied for a post with us. In addition, one of the things that students have told us as well is that they know the senior nurses in the organisation, and they feel comfortable to go and meet with them and have a chat with them around any issues. We don't interview the students. They are off in some way. If they do their last placement with us and they are signed off by one of our mentors, then that's good enough for us. We are saying they're competent to work as a nurse, so we offer them a post within HBFT. And if there's an area that they're really interested in but no vacancy at that point in time, we'll look at when the vacancy comes up, look at people rotating around so that they can gain experience across sites within the organisation.
I think the benefit of looking at the Band 5 development programme and incorporating that across a number of professions and disciplines will actually support the way of the future. The future is integrated working. If we have to manage our demand and capacity, we are having to work together more. And by incorporating the Band 5 development programme to maybe have a programme that is both nursing and therapy, it helps individuals learn about one another's professions, and that has to be significant for the future.
The students undertakes the 3 years training in HBFT placements, the majority of them. So we assess them throughout that 3-year period. We know, and we work closely with the university as well. So if there are issues that come up, we link with the university, with the educators, to see what support we need to put in place. So we know the student right from day one. In addition, all the student has an induction to the organisation. We've met with them throughout their 3 years training as senior nurses, as well as their mentors. They know the team leaders, the matrons. So there is loads of people that they meet throughout the 3-year training. So I think we feel confident that we've assessed them, we know their abilities, we know their strength, and we also know their weaknesses. So that's things I'll discuss as part of their mentorship.
I think in terms of the STP plans that we have in place, we are focusing on workforce, we are focusing on different roles, but we also mustn't lose sight of the current staff that we have and that we're working with. It's always very difficult to pull staff out of the workplace because of capacity and demand at the moment. And so to be able to take something to the staff, work with them. The programme itself was, I suppose, a co-production with the team leader really, because we don't determine how we're going to work with those staff before we go. It's the team leader that does that. And I think that has to be the way of the future. We have to work in an integrated partnership way, and I really see this as being one of the focuses. For the students, the preceptorship package that we've got covers a range of programmes for the students, and some of these have been dictated by will be dictated by the students themselves, what they want to know. And we've got the programme plan, so monthly preceptorship sessions, linking in with people who comes in to
provide a session on a specific, for example, care planning or risk assessment, so that people are equipped with the tools and techniques when they go back to the units, to the wards.
STP, that's a Sustainability and Transformation Plan for organisations. In Suffolk, we're working with the Suffolk and North Essex STP, and particularly from community services, there is a real focus on ensuring that there is integration for community services. We are trying to ensure that care is delivered in the right way, in the right place, by the right individual. And I see the resilience, building resilience in teams will help us to deliver that. The benefits of the programmes that I have seen, firstly, the feedback from both of them it's been phenomenal really, particularly the building resilience in team leaders and teams. Every single team that has been on that programme has had a positive feedback. I wonder if that's because it has allowed us to focus on the teams. So much recently has been around capacity and demand and how we can be more efficient as teams. This actually has taken time. It has allowed the programme to work with the team and look at the issues that they're actually facing and give something back to the team. You have to invest in your staff. You have to value your staff. We don't have an endless pipeline of staff at the moment, and so I think both programmes do this. The Building Resilience teams and team leaders has received actually excellent feedback. It's probably one of the programmes that there hasn't been a negative comment regarding that programme, and it must be about working and listening and valuing the staff. In terms of the Band 5 development programme, I think there are things there we can change. We are considering, does it need to be so lengthy? It is a year's programme. Do we need to look at that? But also, could we use what we've been doing with our registered nurses and develop that further into the integrated team as well?
I think for me, one of the main recommendations for other organisations around the piece of work we've done is making sure that students feel part of the organisation.
My role as the Director of Nursing within the Band 5 development programme was actually to initiate the idea at the beginning. My Head of Nursing has taken that idea and really worked very closely with the university to develop it further. I take a keen interest throughout the year with the staff that are on the programme and very much look forward to the end celebration where they can present to us their portfolio and really reflect back on the learning that has happened for them. I'm really interested also in how the people that have undertaken the programme have talked to us about some of the changes that they think would increase the value of the programme further. In terms of benefits of the programme, what I have seen is that the staff now, the Band 5s, really believe that there is a career progression for them within the organisation. They also feel that the organisation is investing in them. Not all of them will go on to the district nurse practitioner qualification, but actually that wasn't the focus really. It was ensuring that we do invest in our staff and that they can actually see that the organisation wants to value them. And we've seen a small number of them actually move into other roles as well.
Each preceptee has a mentor on site in their practice, in their workplace, and we train the mentors as well to ensure they meet the NMC standards. And they also receive support from the practice education teams. And we have a mentor forum as well as students forum and preceptorship forums.
I think the programme that we're delivering really will support the team leaders and teams in delivering change in the future. The SDP plans are very much about different models. They're very much about being flexible, working in an integrated way. We've got to prepare our teams to be able to work with that change. It's a fast-moving environment.
We are recruiting up to our vacant positions, hence that has an impact on the outcome, positive outcome for people who use our services.